If you would have told me that I was going to play a Metroidvania that didn't have combat in it and actually enjoy it, I would have laughed in your face. But alas, here we are. This is Auridia, a short 2D pixel art Metroidvania developed by Norseboar Games and was released on September 22nd, 2025. Oh, surprise, surprise, another 2D pixel art Metroidvania. Guys, I made you a promise. I'm keeping that promise. The video after this one will not be a pixel art 2D Metroidvania. But in the meantime, if you haven't watched my previous video, please go check it out. I did a video on Silent Paradise Anthology, and I'll link that right here. Now back to the review. In this game, you play as a young person. I don't think you ever know what exact gender you are. Either way, you're searching for your grandfather that was obsessed with this mythical place called Auridia. On your quest to find your grandfather, you stumble upon this underground city that has been left in ruins. This is Auridia. Your mission is now twofold: find your grandfather and find out what happened to Auridia. Like the opening said, this game has no combat, which is usually a major turnoff for me. Combat is the primary reason why I play games. Boss fights are usually my favorite aspect of any game that I play. So playing one without combat, big culture shock for me. However, in this game, at least in my opinion, combat didn't really seem super necessary to have. There is kind of some combat in the game. For instance, you get this ability later that kind of acts like a parry, and certain enemies that usually act as just obstacles for a lot of the game will shoot bombs at you, and you can parry it with your shield thing, but then at the same time use another upgrade ability that allows you to grab the bomb and then throw it back at the enemy to defeat them. So I guess there's kind of combat, but it's definitely more a platforming challenge. Either way, I really enjoyed it. In Auridia, since there is no combat, there's obviously no health. Each time you get hit by an enemy or a platforming hazard, it just puts you back at the last spot that you were on the ground. There is no dying in this game, you just keep trying over and over, which is a nice change of pace considering what I've been playing recently. The green bars that you see at the top of the screen are stamina. The stamina in the game is related to your movement abilities. You have a rope swing, you have a climbing ability, you have double jump, you have that blocking bubble thing I was telling you about. You have the stop time and throw mechanic, or even launch yourself. All of these take stamina, which play directly into the platforming of the game. In this game, you have a charm-like system, kind of like Hollow Knight. However, I didn't really mess around with them too much. It just didn't really seem that important or that game-breaking to not play with them. The level design in this game is pretty good. There's a lot of backtracking to get items and unlock secret passages that you couldn't get to before because you didn't have the ability to do so. Typical Metroidvania fashion. The exploration in this game feels pretty good, as there's usually always something that you're trying to track down, and exploring will usually lead you to at least something. Also, big turtle. Outside of exploration, the other part of Auridia that really shines is the platforming. And the platforming in this game can be pretty tough. As someone who's really bad at platforming, I cannot help myself but love it, which is kind of a curse because I just beat my head against the wall over and over again until I get it. Not literally, of course. Yeah, there were some pretty tough platforming sections in this game, so be prepared. Now, the story in this game is pretty confusing, and I know you're not going to be surprised if you've watched any of my other videos, but believe me, I actually tried on this one. But this game gave me a big sense of I actually have no idea what is going on. But it's like you're trying to find your grandfather and figure out what happened to Auridia, and then there's like these little shrine things where there's supposedly gods inside of them where you need to free them in order to have their power, and then decide whether or not you're gonna free this octopus person named Sophia, and then fight back this weird eldritch god looking thing at the end of the game. It's a lot. And while I'm not entirely sure what I was doing the whole time, I had a great time doing it. Now, the soundtrack in this game is interesting. There's some areas where the soundtrack just really nails it. It nails the theme, it makes you feel good, it makes you feel like you're ready for the zone that you're in. And then there are other spots where the soundtrack is just odd. For instance, there's a zone where it's a pretty normal soundtrack, but then there's just a seemingly randomly timed, very loud snare drum that just hits over and over and over again. My wife was actually sitting in here watching me play the game for a while, and she even pointed out, she said, "What is this soundtrack? Why does that snare drum just keep showing up?" Very interesting composition in the soundtrack in some parts of the game. Overall, Auridia is going to get a 6.5 out of 10 for me. I spent all day at work today thinking about this review after I had edited the video last night and realized that I actually scored this game entirely too low. A 6.5 for Auridia is not fair for this game. This game for me is actually going to come in as an 8 out of 10. The pixel art is beautiful, the level design is great, the soundtrack really is awesome outside of that one track that's just got the randomly placed snare drum, but the rest of the soundtrack is great, and I highly recommend this game to anyone that enjoys pixel art Metroidvanias. The lack of combat in the game was obviously a culture shock for me at first, but I grew to appreciate it. The platforming was a big component of the game, and I could really use some good platforming every now and then. The story, I'm sure, is great. I'm just not smart enough to follow along with it. If you do enjoy short pixel art Metroidvanias and you need a break from the intense combat that some of the others bring, I do recommend you pick up Auridia. If you like what I do, please consider liking and subscribing, and leave a comment down below. I make these review videos genuinely because I want to give my feedback on these games, but also I want to have conversations with people about these games. So if you've played it, what'd you think about it? If you haven't played it, do you plan on picking it up? Does this review help you make a decision? Let me know. Let's talk about it. Also, don't forget to check me out on Twitch and TikTok. I'm going to be streaming these games as we prepare for the reviews. We're in kind of a streaming lull right now. I'm trying to get more videos out before we pick up the next game because I'm a little behind. But make sure you at least go drop a follow so you know when I'm going live. But as always, if you've made it this far in the video, thank you for being here. Thank you for spending your time here. But until next time, stay safe out there. Peace.